Yes, I'm with Andreea. We're just off on a trip. Andreea's from Romania. And I'm interested in speaking from people from Romania because I'm very curious to know why they come to Jersey. You've been here for about 4 years almost.
Nearly 4 years. On the 19th of May it will be.
How have you survived for 4 years? What sort of work?
Quite well. I started in housekeeping for 1 year, and then I moved to a carer job, and 3 years. So far it's going well.
You find accommodation, all that sort of thing, it's affordable. You can make enough money to support yourself.
To be honest, I find them a bit expensive for what the income is, but comparing to my country, the level is it's quite different. But I suppose we can have the same expectations. So
we're always curious to know, how did you find this tiny little dot in the ocean, Jersey? It's not very famous.
Well,
how did you find Romania?
My family found it. So it was my cousin that came here first on the island, and because I wanted to have an experience outside my country at that time, I just decided to come here for a few months, and then I liked it. So I'm 4 years now.
Whilst you've been here, obviously your English would have improved.
Pardon?
Your English would have improved whilst you've been here in Jersey?
Yes, definitely. We have English, we study English in school, and that is like 1 or 2 hours a week, but depending on the teacher that you have or your interest in learning, that's how it goes. So my interest was not very very high at that moment, but
so
I could improve in here.
Your spoken English is obviously to a very high standard now.
Thank you very much.
The
people have been very helpful, the Jersey people.
You haven't attended Highlands College to learn? This is what you've picked up?
No, just what I picked up, and by reading. I like reading.
What educational standard are you in Romania? What did you study for in Romania?
I have finished university psychology, conciliation and educational for children and teenagers.
As with so many people from Romania and Poland especially, they are young people with a university training, using university qualification, and they finish up in Jersey doing fairly basic jobs, which seems a bit of a waste of their skills, their potential skills. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's true. We end up working underqualified because of the system, I assume. It's all the studies that you're doing, they are not directly admitted, and there requires some differences, and not all the people can afford paying for those courses, since they came here first of all mainly having an intent of gaining some extra money, and behind that they cannot afford saving sufficiently so they can educate themselves and have a job according to their standards. Some of them they can particular to do this, so they can get lucky.
I've interviewed several Romanian people, and they're finding it more and more difficult to get jobs in Jersey. Is that an aspect you've looked at? You've obviously got employment at the moment.
Yes, it's true. It's true. When I came here, there were just a few Romanians on the island. Now I can walk the streets and I can hear my language everywhere, because I suppose everybody has came and somebody joined in a certain period of time, either a friend, in most cases. So this is how it happened, and more coming. The jobs, of course, they have reduced.
They're talking about putting on a charge. £75 is going to be the charge from when, sometime this year, for new arrivals. Do you think that would deter people coming if they have to pay £75 to enter?
If they would restrict them, or
they will pay £75 when you turn up at Social Security.
I think for somebody that is actually determined to come here, that will not restrict them. No. If you are determined to make it, and you have such a strong reason behind.
You've been here nearly 4 years. The magic 5 years has significance here because you're halfway to being a qualified Jersey person after 5 years. What's the aim? What's the goal? What's your objective? 5 years, more, longer? What do you see the future?
In this particular moment, I haven't decided myself where I would go from here. so I cannot give you too many details. It could either be staying here and doing some studies here, so I can get a job that would be closer to my qualification, or I will intend a different country, for example like India, to have studying there, and probably then return to Jersey with my qualifications and having from a different point standard.
It's ironically you should choose India, because I know you visited India, but India is a country of great contrast, much richness, but also great poverty. And obviously we're told, the message we're constantly told is that in Romania there's poverty. There's several charities here who send parcels to help the poor in Romania. Can I link the two sort of aspects of that? What do you think about the collecting of charitable stuff here in Jersey to send to Romania? And what do you think about the poverty that you're going to encounter if you go back to India?
Well, about my country, about Romania, I have a very good opinion about those charities that are working at this moment in Jersey, because there are still a lot of people that are very poor in Romanian countrysides and different other areas that are not very well attended or organized or managed by the system there. So they definitely need anything that they can get there.
It's been a long time since Ceausescu went, but the poverty apparently remains. Any idea why that should be?
Well, I would say the system has not reached the right level so far. Could be we dealt with a few years of strong corruption in there, and things are gradually changing, but it's still some time to go until we will reach.
Do you know of any Romanians in Jersey who actually participate in the charities, in the Jersey charities, sending stuff to Romania? Do Romanians get involved?
I'm not aware of that, to be honest, so I haven't heard it. I knew somebody from Romania. There was a pastor that came, and it's part of this organization, one of the organizations. But apart from that, somebody that I would have met here, no.
As we mentioned, the poverty that you're going to encounter if you go back to India, how can you deal with that? How do you approach that?
Well, India, it's slightly a poorer country than mine, so we are talking of a different picture in there. In my country, you can slightly feel the middle social layer, but in India, that has completely vanished. You can only have the lower layer and the upper class. There are no middle in there. You can't really see the difference. So the impact that you have is that you're walking the streets and you're having this people sleeping on the streets, no clothes on them, no food and anything. Just around the corner there is an immense building, luxury, and totally different world. So
I mean, it's a further irony.
Quite, I haven't reached an equilibrium there.
It's a further irony that Jersey is very keen to do trade with India. We see the finance industry developing there, and obviously there's richness there to be tapped, but there's also great poverty, as you experienced. It would appeal more to me if we were helping the poor rather than assisting the rich to avoid their taxes. What are the priorities, do you think, for India?
Priorities are definitely helping the poor, but who is going to, as a system, involved in helping the poor if there are not certain advantages for that particular country? I mean, let's be realistic. I don't think they will get in there just for the sake of generosity. I think there have to be always some middle or mutual interests. But as long as it functions and there are some poor people being helped, I think this still can work.
Obviously there's a traditional relationship between Britain and India because the colonial past.
Of course.
Is there any relationship between Romania and India? Is there anything?
Not in this particular order, no.
I know you have a faith background. Is that significant as far as going to India is concerned?
My background theoretically would stop me from going to India because India is a country of, as far as I could understood it before I went there, different gods and deities. So it would not fit with my religious background. But I'm going there for different reasons. I have friends. I got attached to that country. I feel their warmth in people. They have. I have found people with the most highest sense of decency and respectful towards other than I could find in any European country, to be honest. So that's what drew me towards that country. And if I would consider helping people in the future or involving myself in their system, that would be a good country and a good start.
Those sort of values, does that challenge your own Christianity at all?
Not really, not really. I have my own beliefs and my own system, and they can have others. People are free to believe in whatever they want, so I don't question their beliefs, and certainly they don't question mine. And they do have Christians there too. Even if they're a minority, they represent the minority.
Of course, the other great economic force now is China, and there's quite a strong move from Jersey to get involved with the finance side of China. But we're told from one guy that I've interviewed on here who knows about China that Christianity is growing in China at a phenomenal rate. An incredible number of people are being Christian.
I have a friend that she lives in China, and she told me yes, she can definitely see an increase in the faith of the people in there. And not only that, we went together to India. She was very amazed about how the difference between India and her country would look. She said it's like she has come back in time, at least 60 years. So,
obviously the Pope is just retired, so there'll be a new Pope. I don't know what difference that will make to the Catholic Church. It's a very conservative organisation. It's got some very old-fashioned views that I can't agree with. I don't know. Do you sympathise with most of the views expressed in the Catholic Church?
I sympathise with some of them, not with all of them. I am born as an Orthodox, and as far as my faith is, there is only one God, and a lot of religions, and all those religions go after a different doctrine. They follow different sets of ideas. But anybody can pick whatever is closer to their own system of judgment.
If you travel to places like India and you see they've got other religions which are very powerful, and then you compare them with places like Romania or Britain, where the Christian faith is very powerful, do you wonder which is the more valid faith? Does it not challenge you at all?
I don't challenge which is the most valid faith, because that was never my interest in understanding. I think people have set up those different beliefs, and they went according to the area where they lived or the times when they lived and chose a particular one, and this is how religions have spread in the world. But it's not like there is only one truth, it's a general truth, and all those things are kind of part of that bigger picture. They can sometimes be transformed or modified, but the actual...
Do you think in reality for the people in Jersey, we've got a very strong Christian ethic here, a very strong church following, do you think it helps the community to have a Christian basis?
I think it helps the community, yes. It brings them together and gives them a sense of humanity more, or loving your neighbor, or a bit more of understanding in that picture.
Is that
at least if it's a motive that you have to have behind to act accordingly, if that determines you to be a better person, that's wonderful.
Is it noticeably any different in Romania? Because I notice that many of the Romanians I meet are quite strong in their faith.
They are quite strong in their faith. Part of Romanian, we are a majority. The majority in Romania is Orthodox. But going back to India, I think the Christians in there, they have a stronger faith than the ones in here have. Sometimes in there you can still see religious persecution. We are reading about this in Bible and in history, and you are still having it in nowadays in there. Some people just being attacked for trying to put their faith and sharing it with other people. So it's quite a challenging world, but...
I don't suppose there's any chance we could get you to take one of these little cameras when you go off on your travels to India?
Yes, I could do that, definitely.
Bring back some pictures?
Yes, definitely. It's a beautiful country, architecture and everything. If you don't go there to see the poverty, to have the eyes only to look at that, and the negative aspects of it, you can see wonderful, depending on what your eyes are open for.
Okay, we will stop there. We can't compete with the loudspeaker anymore. We will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.